One often hears rather lurid tales about life in the Middle Ages. Streets awash with filth, a distinct lack of bathing water best avoided. It paints a picture of constant squalor, doesn't it? We tend to imagine our medieval ancestors perpetually grimed, navigating veritable rivers of sewage. But was it truly that dire? Or is the popular image a somewhat heightened caricature of medieval reality? Let's investigate the actual state of hygiene in medieval Europe. Clean water, a convenience we scarcely consider today, was a precarious commodity. Proximity to a spring or a well was fortunate, but contamination was an ever-present risk. Public fountains, whilst existing in towns, served all comers for washing vegetables, faces, even soiled bandages. Rivers, particularly in urban centers, acted as communal laundries, baths, and convenient repositories for effluent from tanneries, butchers, and of course, the ubiquitous chamber pot. Consequently, waterborne diseases were rife, making weak beer or ale often the safer hydration choice. Heating water required considerable fuel and labor, rendering a full bath an infrequent luxury for the majority. How did medieval society manage waste without organized collection or sewage systems? Well, rather publicly. Disposing of the contents of one's chamber pot directly into the street was commonplace in towns. Drainage channels, or kennels, often failed to cope, leading to stagnant pools of refuse. Rivers bore the brunt of the remaining waste, creating a rather unsavory cycle for communities downstream. Forget charming cobblestones. Imagine instead streets thick with accumulated muck. Naturally, one station in life significantly influenced hygiene practices. A lord might enjoy a wooden tub with heated, scented water, attended by servants. For the peasantry, a rinse with cold water was perhaps the height of luxury. Public bathhouses flourished for a time, centers for washing and socializing, though they eventually acquired a somewhat tarnished reputation, linked to outbreaks of disease and moral concerns voiced by the church, leading to many closures by the later Middle Ages. For most, particularly in rural areas, cleanliness was more about surface management, wiping away dirt, perhaps using sand or ash rather than thorough washing. In the absence of soap as we know it, resourcefulness came to the fore. Dry scrubbing with abrasive materials helped remove surface dirt. Herbs like rosemary, lavender, and sage were widely employed, rubbed on the skin, hung indoors, or carried in sachets, both to mask odors and for their perceived protective qualities. Indeed, managing scent was often paramount. A pleasant fragrance could imply cleanliness. Perfumes, pomanders filled with aromatic substances, and burning incense were used to combat the pervasive stench of medieval life. Crucially, in an era lacking germ theory, foul air miasma was believed to cause illness, making sweet scents a perceived form of defense against disease. The typical medieval dwelling offered little respite. Earthen floors, perhaps covered with rushes that accumulated spills, food scraps, and other detritus, fostered damp and mold. Livestock often shared living quarters, contributing their own waste. Smoke from open fires filled poorly ventilated rooms, coating surfaces and inhabitants alike. This damp, smoky, and often crowded environment was undoubtedly a breeding ground for illness, particularly respiratory conditions. Sanitary arrangements were rudimentary at best. For most, a simple pit latrine, or a shared trench served as the toilet. Castles and monasteries might boast guardrobes, shafts discharging waste directly outside, often into the moat. Toilet paper was unknown, moss, straw, leaves, or scraps of wool served instead. Hand washing, though encouraged by some monastic orders, was hampered by the scarcity of soap and clean water, facilitating the spread of diseases like dysentery. Medieval medical understanding bore little relation to hygiene. Health was thought to depend on the balance of the four humours: blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. Illness was treated not by cleanliness, but by attempting to rebalance these humours, often through practices like bloodletting or purging. Indeed, bathing was sometimes considered unhealthy, believed to open the pores to disease. Barber surgeons, lacking formal medical training but equipped with sharp implements, performed procedures ranging from tooth pulling to amputations, often without sterilization, making infection a constant danger. When devastating epidemics like the Black Death arrived, the existing unsanitary conditions allowed disease to spread with terrifying speed. So, did medieval people truly disregard cleanliness? Not entirely. They employed various methods, constrained by their resources, environment, and, crucially, their understanding of the world. They valued pleasant scents and made efforts to remove visible dirt. However, their lack of knowledge regarding germ theory and the absence of effective sanitation infrastructure meant that, by our standards, medieval life was undeniably less hygienic and considerably more hazardous. It certainly provides some perspective on our modern conveniences, wouldn't you agree? Thank you for joining me on this exploration of medieval hygiene. Do leave a comment below with your thoughts, and I hope you'll subscribe for more journeys into the past.